What's going on, guys? LittleFire here, and in the month of October, in the spirit of Halloween, I wanted to make a spooky slash scary slash frightening story compilation that has happened to me. And obviously, I'm not that old, my life hasn't progressed well past the halfway mark, and I may also encounter scary or freaky things during that halfway mark. But right now, I want to share a few creepy and scary stories that have happened to me during my life so far, and they're not like bone chilling. They could be, depends on how you look at them, but they are very interesting, and I don't know why some of them happened. I do know why a few of them happened, but if you guys want to get creeped out or maybe just have an enjoyable story to listen to, you come to the right place. So anyways, the first story happened when I was about, I'm going to say 10 or 11. And me and Michael from the Flawed Squad, were watching the movie Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. If you've ever seen that movie, it's about a monkey and he gets tested on, and they're trying to give monkeys rights and stuff. It's a really good movie. I didn't explain it that well right now, sorry. But right at the end of the movie, leading into the next movie, you see a pilot who's gotten infection, and he starts to get a nosebleed running down the side of his face, and then it cuts to a scene where it shows another guy that used to have a nosebleed, and he's dead lying on his bed, and his sheets are covered in blood. And I thought, like, I was 10 years old, I thought, oh, that's kind of creepy, like, that's kind of scary how an infection can do that to you. And I didn't know a lot about infections back then, but right after the credits started rolling, I felt something kind of dripping out of my nose. So I just touched it. I thought it was just like a little itch or something. I pulled back my hand and it was covered in blood, and my nose just started gushing blood. And at first I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. And then I realized what just happened in the movie, and I was so scared. I thought that I was gonna die. I thought the movie was real. I thought that the monkey infection has got to my nose, and I thought that since the pilot got the infection and everyone else watching the movie with me was probably infected, and I was so scared, and I was like, I wasn't crying or anything, but I was just like shocked, like, oh my god, I think I'm infected. And turns out I'm still here today. I'm not infected, I don't think. I'm not infected with the ape virus, but that's kind of a freaky story. Like, imagine that happening to you. Like, how freaked out would you be if, like, watching your favorite TV show like The Walking Dead and someone saying, oh, everyone that gets a nosebleed dies, and then you just start getting a nosebleed. Like, that's what pretty much happened to me, and I was so scared. Why is the telephone ringing? My second story, I have to say, was around when I was maybe 11 or 12, and there's two stories that kind of correspond with it, and I seem to have really weird dreams. Like, I seem to have, like, in-depth dreams that sometimes I can barely remember, but they consist of large stories that happen. And all I remember are two ones that kind of creep me out. So the first one, it wasn't really a dream at all. I was just sleeping, and I remember waking up shaking and clenching my bed sheets, and I was just shaking, and then I looked at the clock, and it was like 9 o'clock at night. It wasn't that late. I don't know how I fell asleep before that, but I don't know how, but I just kept muttering the words, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. And I kept shaking, and I was so scared because I couldn't control it. I just thought that I was going to die because it was so weird. Like, imagine waking up from a dream and not having control over your body, and you're shaking and you're muttering the words, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. And that one actually kind of sounds paranormal, but really I think it might have just been like a nervous reaction to a dream or something. I don't really remember having any other reactions like that except for the second story, which I'll tell in a minute. But I just keep on remembering how scared I was. I felt trapped in my own body, and I couldn't do anything about it for like 2 or 3 minutes. And finally it stopped, and I kind of just looked down at myself and made sure I was okay and just went back to bed. I didn't think anything of it. And that was the weird part, like, something that weird just happening to me. And then just, not giving a crap about it and just going to sleep, which I find is really creepy. I don't know if it was paranormal or if I'm just really weird. Well, I know I'm already really weird. You guys should know that too. But it's so weird, and that's the second scary story I have to tell you. The third scary story I want to tell you is about probably when I was 12 to 13. And it's also one when I was sleeping. So I was sleeping, and I had this really weird dream. It was all dark, and I could barely see anything. I could only see shadows and the color red. And I was moving through, it looked like a field of grain or wheat, and I, for some reason, saw a house that looked very familiar to me. I just couldn't put my finger on it, why it looked so familiar. And I kept on walking closer to it and closer to it, and it was weird. I saw members of my family start walking out of the house. I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. And I turn around just to see if any of my family members are behind me, and there's this huge bird-type creature. It looked like a dinosaur with a huge beak running at me. And I started running towards my family, but the house seemed to get farther and farther away. I couldn't catch it. I couldn't make it there, and the bird just was gaining on me, so I just stopped and lied down in the same position as when I woke up. And when, in my dream, the bird, Tyrannosaurus Rex, whatever it was, it pinned me to the floor and started pecking at my chest. And then when I woke up, I was drenched in sweat, and my chest was shaking. I don't know if it was a muscle spasm, but that was like one of the creepiest moments in my life, just because my chest was shaking. I just had a dream, and I couldn't tell what was real and what was fake, because my room was dark and my dream was dark, and there was sunshine shining through the window, and I thought that was the red that I was seeing all in my dream. And it just creeped me out, and I don't know if that's paranormal. It's probably just another muscle spasm. But still, that could probably make me crap myself if that happens again. For the fourth story I want to tell, it probably happened when I was in grade 7. So when I was 13 or 14, same year that I got my my weird dreams. And this one is real. Like, it's not a ghost. It's just really scary. So I went to this kind of like camping thing with a bunch of people, and Michael was there from the Flood Squad. He seems to appear a lot in these haunting videos. Maybe he's the cause of it. Who knows? Anyways, I was walking with him and another guy. And before I tell you the rest, I just want you to imagine. There's this huge, long field that we were walking on. There's a road on the side, so we were walking on the road. And there are 2 houses on either side. And the people who were running the camp said, don't walk alone. Walk with 2 or more people. It's safer. We don't want to see you mangled up like on the road. And they were joking, obviously, but that kind of creeped me out at first, because I was like, oh my god, we're gonna get mangled in our sleep. But so me and Michael and this other guy, we were walking down the road, and it was like dark. It was almost nighttime, and I could barely see. There was a little bit of light left in the sky, and I saw just the 2 other guys walking ahead of me. I'm like, you know what, I don't have enough energy to walk to the other house on the other side of the field. I'm just gonna go back. So they're like, okay, whatever, you know you're not supposed to walk without a second person, but that's fine. So I turn around and I start walking back, and mind you, it's still really dark out. And knowing all these scary things that have happened to me before, I just whisper to myself, I'm like, don't look to the left. Don't look to the right. Don't look behind you. Just keep walking. And I kept walking, and then I don't know, because it all happened so fast, but all I remember is looking to my right. No, it was my left, and there was this fence that separated the road from another field that had like crops in it, and I saw this, it must have been a coyote or a wolf, staring at me through the fence. And I just froze up for a second. I looked away from it. I'm like, this can't be real. That it's going to chase me and kill me. I'm going to get mangled up on the road like the counselor said I would. So then I close my eyes and I just start sprinting down the road. It's dark outside. I can't see what I'm doing. I'm tripping over rocks and stuff. I didn't even look behind me except the last moment. And I almost ran to a parked car, which is kind of weird because I didn't see it there. I just started running and looked behind me to see if the thing was chasing me. And it wasn't, obviously. But I kept on running, and then I got to the house and I was like panting. The one group leader's like, what's the matter? I'm like, there's something outside, and I thought it was chasing me. So then they didn't really care. I was young. They thought I was full of crap. They thought I was just trying to scare people. But that's the second last horror story I have to tell you. Now this last one is real, and I have to admit it's very paranormal. Like, I can't imagine how it happened or who it was, but I'll try to explain it the best I can. So I was all alone in my house. It was like a Friday night, so my brother was out of the house, my parents were out of the house, and I was just watching TV, like on my couch in the living room, and for some reason, I kept on hearing dripping water, and I thought nothing of it. I thought it was just coming from outside, but then one of the showers on the top floor of my house turned on, and like I could hear it on. I know what it sounds like, and I heard it turn on. And I was like, it must have just been faulty wiring or faulty piping. And so I thought nothing of it. I just went to go upstairs because it was distracting me. And right when I got into the room, the water shut off. And there was this, like, black moss on the bottom of the, like, drain where the water goes out of the shower. And I'm like, oh, I haven't seen that before. It looks disgusting. I'm not going to touch it. And then I go to reach for the handle on the way out, and it has that black moldy stuff on it. And I'm like, oh my god, that's so freaky. How is this gonna affect me? I can't touch that. It's gonna infect me and give me all these sorts of viruses and stuff. So I got a paper towel or a tissue, and I closed the door. I opened the door without touching the infected handle. I looked to the left of the bedroom. And I looked to the door, and it looked like there was a shadow on the door, and then it started like creaking and moving back and forth, and I started to get really creeped out. I'm like, what is happening? Is there a ghost in my house? Am I getting paranormal activity? Is this a prank that my brother's pulling on me? But I didn't know, so I opened the door again. There was no black moss on this time, but there was like little trails of black moss leading into my brother's room. And my brother's pretty young, so I didn't think he could pull off a prank that size. And so I kind of like go into his room really carefully, and there's black moss like circling his bed. And I was like, that's really creepy. Like, what just happened? That wasn't there a few minutes ago when I walked upstairs. And then I hear this rustling in his toy chest. He has a little toy chest at the end of his bed, and like it starts rustling, and I'm like, what, is there like a squirrel in there or something? But I was so wrong. Like, what I saw in there scarred me for the rest of my life. So I started walking towards the toy chest, and I unhinged all the locks, and I didn't want to open it. I wanted to see if it rustled again. So I walked out of the door, and it started rustling again, and I didn't know what was happening. So I decided to open the box, and I'm sorry if I just made some of you poop your pants and crap all over the wall. I'm sorry I had to pull a prank. It's Halloween, it's a trick or treat. I had to do it. I'm sorry, guys. Anyways, this has been LittleFireGaming. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like, and if you're new, subscribe. Anyways, as always, have an amazing day, and don't poop your pants next time I scare you. Jeez, little kid.